AIM-listed ECR Minerals is the 100% owner and operator of the Creswick, Baillieston and Tambo projects in Victoria. The company also owns and operates several projects in Queensland, including Lulworth, Conda Paringa and Blue Mountain, an alluvial gold project where the team have this week commenced trenching work to identify a gold run. Chief Operating Officer Mike Whitlow joins me today. Hello, Mike. It's good to see you again. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks, Alan, and good to be back with you and your audience.
It is indeed. Good to have you back as well. So it's been a really full-on year for you, for Nick, and of course for Adam. But before we discuss the work underway at Blue Mountain, can you give us a sort of bullet point summary of all you and the board have achieved so far this year?
Yeah, I mean, look, it surprises me when I think that we've been with the company 8 or 9 months now, and it's a very different business. And you know, I understand that perhaps the investment community still have some reservations or perhaps doubts and concerns. It's been a challenging couple of years in the market for investors, and it's been a challenge for long-term shareholders of ECR. But you know, the company's in great fettle right now. You know, we've drilled at Cuboid Hill and Davy Road, got some great results there. Two slightly different signatures of geology, you know, one being very, very high grade and narrow vein type gold, and then we've got this sort of broader, wider mineralized area that we've seen extensively expanding around at Cuboid Hill. So, you know, really interesting work's been conducted earlier on this year. We keep leaning back to reminding investors of the work that we did back in 2023 up at Queensland around the Lulworth region and range. And that was, you know, the niobium bullseye discovery that we had, which people rarely seem to refer to, or even the stream sample of 1,395 ppm. I mean, we're talking ounces and ounces of gold equivalent. These are things that have kind of been lost in translation or lost, you know, during the testament of time. We urge investors to start to go out there and look, get more familiar with that, as we have done with Blue Mountain, where the team have arrived recently on site. And operations have commenced there. So, you know, we've got a great outlook. We've got a very, very busy period ahead of us, and yeah, we're hoping that you know, we can provide sufficient agitation, stimulation, and you know, to activate investors to, you know, get behind us and get alongside us in the trenches as stakeholders in the business. Myself and Nick have taken 90% of our remuneration shares since joining the company, and the board have taken shares as well. And that should hopefully give people some confidence that we believe in the value of ECR shares at the current level.
Excellent, excellent. So, Mike, let's take a look at Blue Mountain. Of course, a video clip went out on social media today covering the trenching work, and some visible gold was discovered by Adam and the team on the first day. Can you talk us through what the program entails, what you're hoping to find?
Yeah, so the Blue Kebble, the former operator, had started the trenching work up at Blue Mountain. They'd had some pretty interesting results, and those results were submitted for assay, and you know, they came in, they were quite impressive. Those results were not published when the acquisition was made, probably because there needed to be a bit more work to validate that, and that's what we're looking to do. And we understand that if we continue to expand this trenching campaign, the theory then would be to get into some sort of a inferred resource up at Blue Mountain. And there's been some publication prior to this recent campaign that there could be up to 100,000 ounces of gold there. We're seeing that from the cleanup. It took a couple of days to get things set up, and you know, we'll start to run some of the material over the next few days and see what it yields. But you know, almost immediately, Adam's seeing sort of visible gold and nuggets at 0.4, 0.5 of a gram in, you know, singular pieces, which is always encouraging. I think what we expect from these alluvial plays is the scientific data will show us that there's still a lot of gold that's been missed. It was missed by the old timers, and if we run this operation washing gold in an old-fashioned sense, we probably will miss a fair bit of gold too, because we have this invisible, very fine gold, and then we have this coarse nuggety gold as well. But just from what we're seeing, the numbers already look consistent with other alluvial gold plays that have operated within the region historically. And whether we get, you know, knockout results from scientific sort of led data from the laboratory, or whether we just get, you know, old-fashioned gold on the weighing scales, we think that this has got great potential. What's more encouraging is that the landowner is fully behind it. He's got some of his own people on site assisting us with heavy machinery, and they're, you know, pragmatic about helping develop the Blue Mountain assets. So far so good. Let's wait and see what the results are, and we'll share what we can when we can. But yeah, really is one of those sort of little gems, really, for want of a better word. It was overlooked when we came into the company, mainly because there wasn't a lot of work really done after that acquisition, but it's proven to be quite interesting. And, you know, there's nothing better than seeing a little bit of, you know, gold in the pan, and when you're cleaning up and washing gold, it's a nice place to be.
I do remember reading that original report, actually, when the company first made the acquisition. Of course, the Blue Kebble reported that they believed that shallow mineralization down to 4 meters could potentially yield over 100,000 ounces of gold. So yeah. Would you say, from what you've seen so far, I know it's very, very early days, and I can't push you because, of course, you know, we're in a regulated environment as such, but the indications are certainly positive there, aren't they?
I mean, look, I think if there was 50,000 ounces or 250,000 ounces, we'd be equally as thrilled. So, I mean, at this point, to go out there and guide a figure would be, you know, inappropriate. It's in the public domain. There's been a figure that's been referred to, and we don't necessarily want to argue with that. We know the work that was conducted is very shallow by the previous operators, and we're seeing a lot of consistencies and synergies with that from the work that we're conducting ourselves. We'll go away and evaluate that, and we'll decide where to go next. We've got a very busy period ahead of us. Blue Mountain is the start, not the end of a campaign. We intend to be up at Lulworth. We'll go and trench and you know, clean up some material from there. See what's going on the subsurface. We've got a couple of guys who are just finishing up in the eastern side of the tenement. We've got news from some of the historical antimony results. See what they come up with in the next few days. We've got a drilling campaign to start to consider and look at in Tambo after we got our recent results of 51.5 grams, best result. So yeah, a lot for us to be working on. Tax losses are something that we've been constantly reminded of, and we're cognitive of that, and that's been noted. So, you know, it hasn't gone unnoticed, and it certainly hasn't been forgotten. And yeah, we're looking at deals. If anybody wants to go and look at the report that was recently released and the comments, you know, that Nick provided, we're not sitting on our laurels here. We're looking at all opportunities in order to help enhance this business. We don't believe taking a short step at a time approach will be enough to see this company get from £5-6 million valuation to 25 or 50. Therefore, we have to really start taking a broad stride and picking the pace up. And if anything, one of the things that I've found personally, and this is not a criticism of the regulatory environment, it's a little bit, you know, due to my own ignorance, is that the things that we'd like to be doing 2-3 times quicker than we're able to do. And I have to be mindful of that too, and respect the environment that we're working in. But, you know, we're not short of enthusiasm here, Alan.
I know that, Mike. I know that you've got it in space, and that's great news. So just on the funding position, of course, both you and Nick have a reputation for financial prudence, particularly Nick, of course, being Scottish. But through the year, you've sold various assets. Of course, you have income coming in from a sale of one of the drill rigs. The Creswick property is also on the market, I think, with planning permission. So how is the funding position looking at the moment?
Funding position's perfectly fine. We're funded for all of the work towards the end of the year and into the start of 2025. You know, it's like all of these things. If you know, the shares went up by 500% tomorrow, would we take any more cash? Probably. But at the same time, are we in a position now, like an injured animal, that needs to try and stimulate the market to go out there and raise money? No, we're not. We've got plenty of cash. We've got access to assets which are, as you rightly point out, up for disposal. and we do get $33,000 a month until I think it's the October. So that comes in every month just to keep on topping up the coffers. We have taken all of the measures now, I think, as far as we can in cost cutting. So the cost of the board is negligible. We've closed the office in London. We've relocated some of the work, so it brings down the cost. We've really cut it down as fine as we possibly can, so that the funds that this company has, been able to raise over the period of time that Nick and I have been with the business can be sunk into the ground. Can't give a guarantee that the results will be what people hope for, but we have high anticipation, and we hope it goes some way to show our confidence by taking our recent remuneration at the latest placing price of 0.30 pence. For me, the shares look good value, so much so I'm happy to take them as remuneration. But I suppose everything's results led, and hopefully the results that have come out of the drilling in Victoria, the recent sampling and assays down in Tambo, and then what we're able to achieve here at Blue Mountain. We've got a lovely little wash plant and pilot plant here where we're putting pay dirt through the machine, and it's spitting out the stuff that we expected to see, and that's really encouraging. And we hope that demonstrates to investors that we've got the opportunity to get to some sort of near-term, and long-term production story for ECR, which is where it's been lacking perhaps in the past.
Of course. Well, Mike, before we wrap up, at the Minds and Money show when we spoke last year, there were indications that lots of interest at the stand. Of course, I know when Nick came to Australia, he was meeting with a number of third parties and interested parties. Can you elaborate on any of this? Has there been any further progress that you can discuss?
There has been further progress. We are bound by market on what we can say, but that progress is always considered to be encouraging if you're making steps forward towards any sort of a deal or transaction. Like I say, we're bound by regulation that we have to make an announcement formally to the market before we can discuss the details of these advances. But yeah, you rightly point out, Nick wasn't short of meetings with some quite interesting parties when he was there, and that communication's been ongoing. We've spoke with a tax advisor as well to understand better our opportunity, and we have a data room that's available for interested parties, and we hope that we can make an announcement on that in the not too distant future. And I think at that point, that's all I'm prepared or able to say at this point. Yeah, I think your assumptions may be correct at this point, but allow me a little bit of patience further, please.
We will, Mike. We will. Well, look, it's been great catching up with you today, and we wish you, of course, every continued success with ECR's multifaceted exploration program. Mike Whitlow, Chief Operating Officer at ECR Minerals, many thanks for joining us today.
Thanks again, Al. All the best, pal. See you.
Cheers.